How can it be?
This week, we are learning that sin flips the world upside down, but God flips it right side up again. And sometimes, in surprising ways, He flips weakness into strength. He flips defeat into victory. He flips our sorrow into joy. And ultimately, He flips death into life. And we're going to do that today by talking about the gospel. The gospel is God's plan that He has had from before the beginning of time to rescue His people from sin and death by providing a way for them to be made right with God and enter into a relationship with Him. The gospel, which is God's plan for salvation, is an announcement of good news that people need to hear. When you hear good news, what is the first thing you want to do with that good news? You want to tell someone else. God's plan for salvation is such wonderful, awesome, and amazing good news that it should be something that fills our hearts. Romans 5:8 says this, "But God demonstrates His own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." Who is God? Boys and girls, God is the all-knowing, all-powerful, holy, and perfect creator of the universe. Do you know what His most precious creation is? We are. You and I are made in His image. The God of the universe, the all-knowing, all-powerful, holy, perfect creator of the universe loves you more than you could ever possibly imagine. But there is a problem. The Bible tells us in the book of Romans that all have sinned. And the Bible also tells us in the book of Romans that sin deserves punishment. And that punishment is separation from God. God loves us, but God hates sin, and we are separated from God. But the good news of the gospel is that God solved this sin problem. God sent His Son, Jesus Christ. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Jesus came to earth as a humble little baby boy. And from the time Jesus was an itty-bitty baby until the time He was a full-grown adult, Jesus never sinned. Jesus lived the perfect life that you and I could never live. And because Jesus was God's Son, because He lived the sinless, perfect life that you and I could never live, He was able to be the perfect substitute for us. He was able to take the punishment that we deserve for our sin upon Himself. Jesus died, and they placed Him in a tomb. But do you know what happened? Just like He said He would, He rose from the dead to show that death had no power over Him, to show that He had defeated death, to show that He was exactly who He claimed to be, the Son of God. And because of Jesus' death and resurrection, because of what Jesus accomplished on the cross, we can be made new. He made a way for us to be made right with God if we place our faith and trust in Him. He solved that sin problem. God was over here, we were separated over here, but because of Jesus' death and resurrection, we can enter into a relationship with Him. We can have new life. We can be made new because of what Jesus accomplished for us on the cross. Amazing, amazing.